Quran burner Salwan Momika murdered in Sweden. Salman Momika, the Iraqi refugee who sparked global fury by burning copies of the Quran in Sweden, met a violent end when he was shot dead in his apartment in, I have no idea how to pronounce the name of this place, I'm sorry, but on January 29th while live streaming on TikTok. His provocative acts, including stomping on the Quran, wrapping it in bacon, and setting its pages ablaze, triggered mass protests, diplomatic crises, and even attacks on Swedish embassies. Now his murder has sent shockwaves through Sweden, with Prime Minister Ulf Christensen saying warning, quote, there is obviously a risk that there is a connection to a foreign power. Deputy Prime Minister Ebba Busch called the assassination a threat to our free democracy as Sweden scrambles to contain growing security concerns. With the nation's terrorism alert at its second highest level and tensions with the Muslim world still simmering, Momika's death has only deepened the divide over the limits of free speech and the price of provocation. Provocation. Um, so I mean, I I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think a good place to start is to talk about the impact that Salwan had. And people might not understand or not might not remember how his actions reverberated around the world. So when he started to do the Quran burnings in Sweden, this garnered international attention and caused diplomatic crises, like literal diplomatic crises, as Muslim majority countries around the world started to boycott Swedish goods. This triggered attacks on the Swedish embassy in Iraq. This also caused, I think it was because there was also some burnings in Denmark at the time. It was, and then I think there was also an attack on the Danish embassy in Iraq. And then I think what's really important to consider is, and this is what I really want to talk about, because of his Quran burnings, Sweden began to consider actions to help curtail and prevent these kinds of events from happening. Sweden began to consider changing their laws to disallow this kind of activity. Sweden began to consider curtailing their freedom of expression because of the blowback and because of the threat of terrorism and because of the threat of violence and because there are millions of people around the world who would see this action and think that they are validated in their offense and taking out their feelings in a violent manner upon any Swede they should so come across. You know, like they didn't start to consider curtailing their free expression because I don't know, people were upset that unicorns don't exist. They did it because there are millions of people that feel validated in murdering and butchering others, even if tangentially related, because Sweden as a nation has decided to allow their citizens to engage in this activity, whether or not the state agrees with it. And they were basically considering legal measures that would empower the police to deny permits to public gatherings if they pose a threat to national security. So again, this is, we've heard about the heckler's veto. I call this the terrorist's veto. And then, meanwhile, in Denmark, they actually did change their laws because of all this fallout. Denmark ended up passing a law in December of 2023 that bans the inappropriate treatment of religious texts. Denmark actually did implement laws to curtail their own freedom of expression because of the terrorist veto. Again, making it seem as if the person who is engaging in this act of free expression is the perpetrator, not the victim. Again, the terrorist veto. Meanwhile, the Danish authorities are like, "Oh no, criticism of religion and religious satire remains legal. You're just not allowed to do this to the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, blah blah blah." We're not stupid. We know this is not because of damage to the Bible. We know this is not because of damage to the Quran. Excuse me, the Torah. You do not see mass movements of Christians and Jews threatening the security of a nation because someone decided to destroy their own property, as long as it is their own property, you know? Again, we have a phrase here in America because it's "don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining." They take us for a fool. And not only that, but we will remember the actions that the United Nations took because of Salwan Momika. This is how bad things are at the UN. On July 12th, 2023, the UN Human Rights Council adopted a resolution condemning all manifestations of religious hatred, explicitly referencing, quote, "the public and premeditated acts of desecration to the Holy Quran." The resolution emphasized the necessity of holding those responsible accountable in accordance with international human rights law, and urged member states to implement legal frameworks to prevent and prosecute acts of religious hatred that incite discrimination, hostility, or violence. Again, specifically and explicitly referencing the public and premeditated acts of desecration of the Holy Quran. The United Nations Human Rights Council. This was voted in by a majority vote. And when that happened at the time, we covered this and we said, this is a horrible and dangerous precedent. And you want to know why this is a horrible and dangerous precedent? There are many, many reasons why. There are many, many reasons why. But one of them is that this validates the feeling of grievance that Muslims feel when someone burns or destroys or desecrates the Quran. And when validating grievance and then making changes to the laws to say that, oh no, by law, this is also unacceptable, that is validating their right to not be offended. It is validating their sense of grievance. And it validates the sense of this is wrong, this is unacceptable. I have to go take action against the person that did this. Now, it's obviously not as severe in places like Sweden and Denmark. I mean, in terms of the validation of what's on the books, but it is incredibly severe in places like Pakistan, where blasphemy actually is punishable by death, where the government validates the sense of grievance so grievous, so grave that it warrants death. But then the government of Pakistan doesn't enforce that death penalty on people who are accused of blasphemy. So the people feel like they have to take it upon themselves. Dude, I hope people see the problem here. To the point that there are studies that point that if you have blasphemy laws on the books, it actually may pose a national security concern. So I'm reiterating this to emphasize how far reaching the impact of what Salman Momika did, like how far reaching his actions were. This went far beyond Sweden. This went far beyond his town. And obviously, it put a large target on his back. Now, my understanding is that they arrested 5 men on suspicion of this murder. And that as of today or yesterday, those 5 suspects have been released from custody so far. If there are Swedish people in the live chat that have a more current update on what the status of the investigation is, um, please let me know. Um, I mean, there's a lot more that I can say, and there's a lot more I will say, but I mean, Armin, I want to give you the chance to jump in.
No, I just want to really summarize what you said and let me know. And I completely agree with it. And let me know if this is a good explanation of what you're saying. When people try to use violence and intimidation to get their way, if you do something to appease them, then you're going to get more violence and intimidation because you have signaled to them that it works. This is so basic, and I don't know why people don't understand this. It's just that simple. This is the reason why that you don't negotiate with terrorists, and this is also the reason why you don't negotiate with kidnappers, right? Because you don't want to. Because even if it saves that child that has been kidnapped at that time, you're signaling to other people that this is a money making industry, for example.
You're
So
creating
if you have a
incentives.
community, you're creating incentives. And this is why we're trying to explain to people why we insult the Quran or Muhammad. A lot of people think that we're just trying to piss off Muslims. We're not. And a lot of people think that this is because we're trying to convince people that Islam is wrong. No, we do something else for that. The point of blasphemy against Islam, so yes, it's good to try to convince people out of Islam, but when we blaspheme against Islam, that is not the tool for convincing people out of Islam. That is to show people, that is to make the method of violence and intimidation to signal to that community that this backfires, is to discourage more violence. A lot of people think like, oh, why would you burn the Quran or insult the Quran? Wouldn't that cause violence? No, you motherfucker. No, you idiots. Actually, not burning the Quran, not drawing the Muhammad when somebody threatens violence, that encourages violence. If somebody, when there's a threat of violence, you have to double down. You have to do it 1,000 more times so that eventually that community understands that, okay, this is not working. And we have shown time and time and time and again throughout history that if you want to see less violence, then this is the way. I mean, it's so basic. People are, if that method works, then they will do more of it. Isn't that simple? Like, that's the summary of it.
Basically,
Anyways, that's,
not to
yeah.
mention the fact that I am under no obligation to show reference and deference to a god or a theology that I do not believe in, or one that I actually think has severe flaws that bring great pain and suffering to this world, let alone one that calls for the deaths of those who dissent and those who leave and those who are the other. I'm under no obligation to show reverence and respect for such an ideology. I don't know like what's so hard to understand about that. I don't live in a theocracy. Fuck you guys. Like I it's insulting to our intelligence. You know, people might have found what Salwan did provocative. But guess what he did? It was peaceful. Did he harm a single person while doing it? You know, it was his own property. Was he doing it in a way that was in people's faces? Yes, and sure, but he did it with the permission of the police. I think maybe there was a few times he didn't, but the vast majority of the time it was. Oh, not to mention the fact I forgot to mention that Salwan, on the day that he was murdered, I think it was the day he was supposed to go to trial because Sweden was prosecuting him for basically promoting hatred of a racial group. He was facing criminal charges for that. In what way, in what world does that make sense in any way, shape, or form? It doesn't make any
Which
sense.
racial?
Do you,
His own
Islam is
racial
not a
group?
racial group. Islam actually makes it explicitly clear that it is not racially bound. It's a universalizing religion. That's one of its strengths. You
I
know
mean,
what I
isn't
mean?
he an Arab himself?
Exactly. He's Iraqi. So what who is he promoting enmity towards? Arabs? Well, I mean, he's an Arab. He's more than welcome to have criticisms of his own community and country of origin, as is everyone else. They are entitled to that. Is he promoting hatred of a different group of ethnic Muslims? Not to my knowledge. They were just trying to get him for something. They were trying to get him on something. And it's I don't know, it sickens me. I mean, obviously it's sickening. No one needs to repeat that. But I think
Okay, people are saying he wasn't Arab; he was Assyrian. But
oh,
but
I
there
didn't
is
know that. Okay.
yeah,
Um
native to Iraq.
and I mean, I don't know what people think that they are achieving when they murder people like Salwan. It makes people even more sickened by this ideology. It validates every criticism we have of this ideology. It validates Salwan's criticism of this ideology. What are you doing? It awakens more people to be disgusted by what you stand for, to be disgusted by the values you hold, to be disgusted by these actions. It awakens more people to say, I don't think any value that approximates what led to this man's murder belongs in our communities. We don't value this. We don't stand for this. This doesn't reflect us. This is not what we aspire to. This is never what we will aspire to. This is barbaric. This is sickening. I swear to God, if we cannot all agree that a definitional understanding of what is being civilized is not to murder people who have offended you, then I don't know how else you define civility. I don't know how what can we agree on if we cannot agree that to be civilized is to not feel validated in grievous righteous hatred to go kill someone who did nothing more than offend you, no matter how deep and hurtful that offense was. Because again, he didn't hurt anyone. What he was doing was peaceful, whether you like it or not. And he was responded to with the most barbaric and uncivilized of acts. And then turn around and cry bully. Oh, why is there? Oh, why don't people understand us? Oh, why is there hostility? Because the hostility and hatred of the other that is deeply entrenched in this ideology. That I mean, I don't know. I have watched too many Orthodox Muslims brag proudly, be carrying the weapon of their truth, that they stand for the hatred of the other, the burning hatred of the other. Their strength is that they carry that hatred of the other with them. And they do it for what they worship. And they're proud of how strongly they carry that. And I have seen this too popularized, too widespread to have any delusions about widespread attitudes and how popular they are. Validated by the fact that his murder, this uncivilized barbaric murder, was widely praised. Widely praised. And then if it's not explicitly praised, it's kind of like, well, he kind of had it coming. You know what I mean? Like, well, we're not going to say that we love this, but we're not going to condemn it because he kind of had it coming. And I'm not like actually that upset. You know what I mean? Off the top of my head, I know like a handful of Muslims that have actually condemned this. And maybe my exposure is small and I can, you know, maybe that's the truth. At the same time, I generally tend to be more tapped in than most people. um so
What one point I want to make regarding people who say, yeah, okay, murder was bad, but also burning books are bad too, because look at history. Who were the other people who burned books? It was the Nazis. So, like, why are we like you guys are on the side of bringing book burning back? And that is such a idiotic comparison, in my opinion, because first of all, when the Nazis were burning books, they didn't go purchase them. It wasn't like there's two main reasons that why that's different. When you burning the Quran, nobody's censoring the Quran. The access to Quran is not being limited. This is when the Nazis were burning books. That was as we had no internet, we had no computers back then. Books were the main source of keeping and spreading, storing and spreading information. Right. So burning book was meant to be used as a tool to stop that information, to censor that information. But the very people who are blaspheming against the Quran, they actually don't want to censor the Quran. They want you to go read it, actually. They encourage more people having access to the Quran. And we have the internet, we have free apps of the Quran. Nobody's access to the Quran is being reduced because somebody went and bought a copy of the Quran and burned it, right? So that's one difference. Two, the Nazis didn't they destroyed other people's property. If you go, I will condemn you if you burn a Quran that is not yours. That's not only immoral, that's also a crime. You destroyed someone else's property. That's not what's happening here. When we desecrate the Quran, we buy it. It's our property. We get to do what we want with our property. We don't go destroy other people's property. If somebody goes into the mosque and steals a Quran and burns it, yeah, that's a crime. You shouldn't be doing it. That's a crime. That's not what's happening here. How is that even like this is what and people when they want to judge things, they just look at the visual similarities rather than the intention and the consequences of the act. That's how you judge things morally. Intentions and consequences, not just visual similarities. Anyways, just wanted to say that.
yeah. So congratulations to, well, actually that's not a good way to say it. I'm trying to be sarcastic. Basically, the people that committed this murder, you have silenced Salwan, but you're not going to silence all of us. You've awoken more and more people to how uncivilized you are. And I've seen more people burning and destroying Qurans across social media than I have in years. Like again, it just serves to awaken more people to the reality that we face. Um That's why, I mean, I've never understood why they do this, like, as a tactic. I don't think they understand. I mean, I do understand a lot of it is, like, honor and insult and blah, 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 all the same freaking talking points.
Must say, Susanna, you do such a perfect job at framing all of these things. Like whenever these things happen, I just look forward to our weekend coverage of it to see how you're going to talk about it, because you really gave us a perspective. So, even I that have been thinking about these and covering these things for years, I'm just waiting for Susanna's take on this at the end of the week to see how you're going to frame this. And I really enjoy um, the way you look at these things. I
Well,
use
thank
it
you,
as
that's so
I use your
sweet.
points as reference. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, I think, like, my window has been so shifted that I, like, don't even see why this is controversial anymore. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's almost like a moral imperative that we stand for maximizing our free expression regardless of offense. Like, Armin, I remember you used to talk about, like, red lines and how we always need to be very sensitive to when other people are trying to impose red lines on us. And one time he said, "I piss on your red lines."
Right.
Because I would rather stand for what I believe to be true than what is popular. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's gonna take for people that support these kinds of murders and savage acts to understand that within our mindset, this does not garner respect. This does not garner respect. This does not garner sympathy. This does not garner empathy. This does not garner loyalty and fealty. This garners resentment. It creates disgust. It creates disdain. And it destroys pity. When we see something that is this uncivilized and then go see millions of people celebrating it. A lot of fish scales fall from a lot of eyes, to borrow a biblical phrase, when we see this. A lot of fish scales fall from a lot of eyes when LA burns to the ground and there are millions of comments online saying, Ya Allah, praise Allah, we never, what about Gaza? What about Gaza? This is revenge for Gaza, free Palestine, blah, blah, blah. Like the lack of insight into the behavior that we see demonstrated en masse is almost hysterical to me. The lack of self awareness is insane. And this is why I was joking to one of my friends in our AR community. I was like, we don't even have to, like, people, what's the word I'm looking for? We just have to showcase the behavior that is shown en masse. It speaks for itself. And I think it's easy to say that while Salwan might be gone, um, the impact he had was outsized, and he will be remembered for it, accordingly. People aren't going to forget this. Am I cutting out?
No, not at all. Not at all. You're
Okay.
completely fine. Right. I want to see if I could, because somebody said something in a chat. Yes. Okay. I want to see if I could get a section of Ali Dava's video So I might, I'm gonna turn something else. I might, as you're speaking to the chat, I might cut out for just a little bit. Okay, so bear with me with that.
Okay.
But yeah, can you respond to some of the super comments regarding this story in the chat, while I'll just turn on something and I might get
Okay.
a cut out for just a second. Yeah, just 1 second.
Okay, but people in the live chat tell me, am I cutting out? Because for me, Armin sounds like a robot right now. Does he sound like a robot for you? I'm just trying to figure out whose connection it is.
Okay, maybe I'm back. I'm back right now. Is that better?
You're frozen for me, but maybe it's just me.
Oh, am I frozen for everyone else? I think I'm okay. Yeah. Anyways, just read. I'll be okay in a few seconds. Just read the comments in the chat, and I'll be fine in a few seconds. I just wanted
Okay.
to show. Yeah, yeah.
Um. Oh my gosh, Ronnie Coleman brought up this comment. You're right, saying didn't his Quran burning also contribute to Turkey not wanting to let Sweden into NATO? Ronnie, you are right. I forgot about that. Oh my god. Yeah, so basically it was multiple things. And they because what's the word? What's the phrase when basically if one member votes no, it's terminated? And Turkey kept on like vetoing Sweden being let in, but it was also because of some Kurdish terrorist stuff, like terrorist activists or accused terrorist activists in Sweden that Turkey wanted. So there was also some Kurdish stuff, but the Quran burning was another thing that they said, but maybe that was just for like public appeal. Kenny made a very good point. He said, "How are human rights violated by desecrating the Quran? Since when is the Quran a human being?" Exactly, Kenny. And this is why everyone needs to be reminded that being protected from offense is not a human right. And why is it not a human right? Because someone can say, well, I'm still harmed by the offense that I experience. Because it is virtually impossible to ensure that all offenses are curtailed equally. I don't know how you ensure equality under the law if you're trying to protect people from being offended. It's impossible. Um, so no, human rights are not violated by desecrating the Quran, but the UN Human Rights Council, still had that ruling, which was disturbing. Um, we got some people becoming new members. Ruzbe. Hello, Ruzbe. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member, which is actually an amazing reminder to people that you should become a member to support the channel. It's a great way to make sure that we can
Yes.
still keep doing the show. We definitely need the support. And please join by hitting the join button down below.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, regarding that, I want to tell people that if we reach 1,000 members, then we will be financially completely secure. This channel, right? So right now we have 207 members. If we get to 1,000, then all this channel will be bulletproof. Like this channel would not go under anymore financially. So that's our goal. So get us there. Yeah.
yeah. And
Thank you.
Kenny, thank you, Kenny. Kenny's super generous and gifted 10 Atheist Republic memberships to people. That's amazing. Thank you, Kenny. Um,
Thank you, Kenny.
oh, I'm about to sneeze. Mm. Oh, that felt bad.
Guys, when you say if I say bless you, people are gonna be like, who Armin? Who?
Oh my
Who's gonna
gosh. I
bless
hate
her?
when people are so sensitive about that. I still use like
I don't
religious language all the time.
know.
Um,
Right.
Gaijin is celebrating his membership for 37 months, seeing origami Quran pages. Well, I'm not very good at origami, but I mean, I have no.
David Wood is he does origami with the Quran. So
Oh, lovely.
yeah.
Um, John Bundock is a member for 8 months, saying Ryan Al Kinlani and Wad Kado are shameful losers. To be honest, I don't know who these people are. Should I? Should I know who this is? Ryan
Look it up
Gimlan.
later, but I want to respond to this comment. I don't know
Oh, I
what
think
this
they're
person.
Iraqi politicians. They were probably after
Hmm,
him. I'm gonna make that assumption.
hmm.
Sorry, continue.
So I don't know if this person means what I think he or she means. So play silly games, win silly prizes. Are you talking about a Salwan? Like dying? He played silly games, and that's why he. Up, Susie. Guys, am I here? So John is saying yes. So Susie, I don't know what happened to Susie. I think she's sneezing again. But I want her back because I want to respond to this while she's here. So I will get back to this when Susie's back. But let me just look at these two. These saying so many Qurans burnings on X. Yes, I saw that as well. This is a high number as a response to this. I don't know what. I mean, this is a good thing. This is a good thing because the message. What are the people who killed him? What are they trying to do? They're trying to intimidate people into not burning the Quran. And if, as a reaction, more people are burning the Quran, then I hope like it encourages less violence, discourages violence in the future. I hope like all other Muslims are taking note that if you kill somebody for burning the Quran, what happens is that more people end up burning the Quran. The blasphemy and the disrespect to your religion is only going to increase. So this is the proper. It's a good reaction. I'm really happy to see that. And Wakar is saying Muslims cheered. Yeah, many Muslims cheered on this. Yes, exactly. Guys, is my audio okay? Because Susie is hearing my audio in a robotic way. Is my audio okay with you guys in the chat? Can you guys confirm if my audio is fine? That would be helpful if you tell me. Please confirm in the live chat if my audio is robotic. Yeah, people are saying my audio is fine in the chat. Okay, so people are saying my audio is okay. Susie, you can hear me properly? Can you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, barely.
Okay. So as long as you understand me, but we got another new member. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. We're on our way to 1,000, so we need to get there. So thank you so much. And then we got another super chat by Bala saying offense is not given, it's taken. That's another good point. Thank you so much, Bala, for the super chat. Susie, I want to get your take on this. Look at this one, and then I want to play something from Ali Dava that is basically in line with the same message here. What do you think about this message?
I mean, I don't even know what to be said. You're just validating the terrorist veto. You might be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you asked for it, blah blah blah." Okay, so you're on the side of the terrorist, basically. Like, you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
well, you," in a way, it also kind of like belies how you think about Muslims. Like, you're like, "Well, of course they're going to be violent. What did you think was going to happen?" Do you know what I mean? Like, you expect so little that the people who are victimized, you're like, "Well, of course."
right. And Ali Dava said something similar, and I played this, but I didn't respond to it properly. This section of it yesterday when Ali Dava said almost exactly the same thing. So I just want to make sure that I play it here because I feel like this was an important part of his commentary that I didn't respond to on my stream last night. So let me just play this part. Oh yeah. So wait. First of all, he's making an idiotic claim that if you burn the Bible, obviously Christians are going to do the same thing, which is so idiotic. Listen to it.
Wait, is there audio? I don't hear any audio, but
Oh, you
everything
don't
is
hear audio? Yeah. Sorry.
completely frozen for me. So,
No. Here.
And I burned the Bible. Do you really think the Christians are not going to attempt to kill me? Like, are you that retarded? If I go to a nationalist Hindutva area and I burn their Bhagavad Gita or whatever it is, their scripture, do you not think there's going to be people out there who's going to attempt to try to kill me.
So first of all, the Christians are not going to attempt to try to kill you. And I also mentioned yesterday, everyone else, yes. So we have some Hindus or people that might be doing similar things, but if the numbers are astronomically lower compared to, I mean, we're going to find examples of this in any community, but again, the levels at which it will never get as close as to Muslims. Like, it's so idiotic to compare the violence that exists within the Muslim community to any other community. But here's the part that I want people, I already commented on this on the stream yesterday, but here's the part that I didn't comment.
You play stupid games and you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah, this is blaming the victim, and this is on a show that he's blaming the victim. So he's saying this is his fault. You play stupid games. So again, this is coming from a Muslim, as if this is expected. So this is what you expect from your own community. Honestly, I don't expect this from any other community. It would be rare if a Christian does that. It would be unbelievably rare if a Jew does that. It would, relative to the Islamic community, it is rare if the Hindu community does that. Again, it happens, but not even remotely close to what happens within the Muslim community. But you're suggesting that this is deserved. To me, Susie, am I reading too much into this? He's acting like this is expected, that it's his fault. He's shifting the blame on the victim.
Of course.
Yeah. So that was just disgusting. And I'm glad that person in the live chat said that, because it was important for me to highlight this part of Ali Dawah's message. Let's look at the comments that D has selected for us.
You're going to have to read it because everything is so delayed for me.
Oh, really? I mean, you could open a YouTube tab because it's fine on YouTube, but okay. Is it your connection? Are you having connection problems?
I guess so.
Okay.
It's weird.
Yeah. So guys, let me know if on YouTube everything is okay. So yeah, D has selected a lot of some of the examples of the people on X burning the Quran as a reaction. And yeah, there was a lot of Quran burning videos, so this was one of them. And I saw on Iranian social media, people were losing it. There were so many people angry and burning the Quran and with murder and insulting the Quran. Like, the Iranian social media was very angry regarding the murder. So there's that. And what is this one? What is this video here? Oh, hold on. This one just opened up here. This is another burning of the Quran, I think. Yeah. So yeah, people are just sharing their anger. What else do we have? Oh, this is our prophet, apostate prophet. He was more courageous than all of your Muslims combined. That's what Ridwan, or apostate prophet, was saying. And he shared a tweet from Salwan saying, Muslims. Oh, look at this. Salwan actually knew this. I know very well that Muslims will kill me one day. So he was ready for this. He expected this. But I am not afraid, and I will not back down from my principles and defending Sweden and the West. And I am ready to pay the price for that. Jesus, my God, that is some level of bravery. So he was ready for, this actually goes back against people like Ali Dawah, who were saying that he did this for asylum. I mean, I don't think people do things that makes them certain that they're going to be dying one day for the sake of asylum. This guy was ready to die for his cause. Again, it's not something that I encourage, but if somebody does it, like, we appreciate people's bravery even if we don't recommend it. So this person is saying Salwan was a genocide survivor. His family in Iraq was murdered by ISIS for being a Syrian Christian. He sought refuge in Sweden, but not only did Sweden fail to protect him, it actively tormented him with threats of deportation to Iraq, where he faced an execution sentence. And there's a video by Salwan himself. Should we play this one? I think we should play this one. Yeah, actually, I have it here. Let me bring it up. Susie is frozen. Let's play Salwan's video while we wait for Susie to come back.
Urgent call to the human rights organizations and the affected. Hello everyone, this is an urgent call to the human rights organizations and the affected parties. Sweden has made a decision and withdrew its political asylum and decided to surrender to Iraq, where they are waiting for torture and murder in the most horrific ways. I believe that the decision of Sweden is in the form of the participation of Muslims in my murder, and this is what the law is judging. As you know, I am in demand of all Islamic countries, and I have expressed my opinion, criticized the Islamic religion, and burned the Quran several times. All of this was done in accordance with the Swedish law and under the protection of the Swedish police, which granted me permission to protest. My last demonstration was in solidarity with Israel in its war against Palestinian terrorism. According to Iraqi law, anyone who has a relationship with Israel is executed. Also, according to Islamic law, anyone who criticizes Islam or burns the Quran is killed. Since I expressed my opinion, I have received
I don't know if this is real video, because a lot of people are saying his English was not as good as this. And
Yeah, exactly.
the audios and the audio. So this was shared on Twitter. Was this shared on his own Twitter? Because maybe
No.
he just used
Maybe.
AI. Maybe he used AI to. This looks like AI to me. Doesn't it look like AI? Because his English was not this perfect.
Yeah, that's what I told you before.
Yeah. But this got 684 likes. And none of the comments are in that post on Twitter is mentioning that this is fake.
No, but I also don't trust the credibility of that account.
Okay, so no. But it was. Here's the thing: that account is not credible. However, might not be credible. However, it was from Salwan himself. Look at down here, right? So even if he used AI, it is his message. Do you know what I mean? So he might have cloned his voice and typed it, and then maybe used AI to say something he wanted to say, but but it doesn't matter because it is from his account, so we could take it as his message regardless of whether or not AI was used, right? So yeah, so that's.
I expressed my opinion. I have received thousands of threats of killing by Muslims. Iraq has issued a memorandum of international arrest because I burned the Quran. Because of this memorandum, I cannot travel to any other country to seek asylum and protection. Therefore, I urgently plead for intervention from human rights organizations and other parties to save my life, which has become hostage to the Swedish immigration system. I suspect.
Okay, so I can see what he might have done. He might have read this in his own language, and then he used AI to translate it with his voice and change the lip to change the lip also to match the language, because AI can do that right now. So he might have just read this in his own language and then used AI to translate it.
I expressed my opinion. I have received thousands of threats of killing by Muslims. Iraq has issued a memorandum of international arrest because I burned the Quran. Because of this memorandum, I cannot travel to any other country to seek asylum and protection. Therefore, I urgently plead for intervention from human rights organizations and other parties to save my life, which has become hostage to the Swedish immigration system. I suspect that someone who made this appalling decision in my favor may have taken a bribe, or that there are individuals working in favor of Swedish immigration. The Swedish immigration system could potentially hand me over and essentially commit a murder at any given time. I suspect that there's a clandestine political agreement between Sweden, Iraq, and Turkey to surrender me. Therefore, I call on countries and human rights organizations to urgently intervene and save a person who hasn't committed any crime but has expressed his opinion according to Swedish law and wants to inform Sweden of the danger of Islam and the Quran to Swedish society. I also call on other countries that want to receive me and grant me the right to asylum and protection because the recent decision of Sweden has become a danger to my life. Handing me over to Iraq means the death of Salwan Momika, and Sweden will bear the responsibility for that if it happens. Therefore, please save Salwan Momika's life. He is an innocent individual who hasn't committed any crime. All he did was critique Islam and express his opinion under the protection of Swedish law. An innocent person's life was endangered by the Swedish immigration authorities' actions, who were quick to hand him over to the Iraqi authorities for persecution. Thank you.
Okay. Susie, you mentioned that the government in Sweden is blaming foreign government for his death or something similar.
They've
Do
said
we
that there's a
know?
possibility of foreign interference. We don't know we don't know anything else besides that they've said that that's a possibility.
Because I saw on Iranian social media that some Iranians were suggesting or saying, a little bit too confidently, to be honest, that that Sweden's government is blaming the Islamic Republic, and I think that is
So
a
Sweden's government has blamed the Islamic Republic for attacks on the Israeli embassy within Sweden, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Like that has been correctly identified. Also, after the initial round of Quran burnings, the Iranian government did do a operation where they basically sent out mass messages. I don't know exactly how. I don't remember the details, but we covered it, where they were sending like Swedish phone numbers messages in mass threatening them over the Quran burnings. And they determined that that was Iranian hacking, basically. And also we know that the Iranians do assassinations in Sweden. Like they have a long history of this. I'm not saying that this is an Iranian assassination. I have no evidence of that. I'm just saying that they do have a strong history of transnational repression operating within Sweden.
I love that you start this comment, Susie. Thank you so much. I needed this. Thank you. This person is saying, this, I think he's a Muslim or whatever, saying, can you admit you're Zionist in public, you cowards? Oh no, we would be too afraid. Unlike that million other times before that we proudly announced that we're Zionists on this channel. But now, now for all of a sudden, we're afraid to admit that. I don't know what changed. You idiots! We have always said that we're Zionists on this channel. Yes, I will tell you guys. I am a Zionist. And I'm proud of being a Zionist. We're proud of that. As Ali Dallas says. Wow, this guy. Oh my God! Thank you so much, Susie. Yes.
Wait,
Yes,
and
we
then
are
you said,
Zionists.
wait, I love this. Wait, not you, Armin and Susanna. You both are in hiding. I don't know what you're talking about. Literally, this last Friday, I went undercover at a pro-Palestinian charity event, like that has ties to Hamas. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm out here.
Unbelievable. Yes, we are Zionists. Most of the people in this chat, on our chat, I think, are Zionists. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a Zionist. I'm proud of it. Not hiding it. But thank you for giving us the opportunity to mention that and advertise that. Oh, we got 2 more super chats. So
Oh God, I just remembered something that happened at this charity event I went to, where I think I might have accidentally exposed myself by laughing at the wrong joke too hard. Like, it's a long story. I'll tell you off stream.
okay.
But let's go to the next story because Armin, there's like a little bit of a storm coming in, and I'm worried
that's
that
why
the weather is why I'm breaking up, and I don't want things to just end.
Okay. I mean, even if it does break up, it's fine. We could pick up late next week when we left, but we have 2 super chats before we get to the next news. So you're cutting in and out, so maybe oh no, you're back. Okay, so let's read it.
Okay, thank you for the super chat, Alkas. €5. Much support from Greek, my Persian brother. Don't forget how many Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians were massacred in the name of this sick ideology. Yeah.
And Arabs.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair to Arabs, you know, like, let's just remember that this is not a battle between one ethnic group of
Yeah.
people against other ethnic group of people. This is a battle between a sickness and humanity as a whole. Okay. This is a cancer that is inflicting all of humanity. But so yeah, all of these people that you mentioned, yes, they have all been the victims of this ideology. Let's just add Arabs themselves also as the victim of this ideology as well. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do. And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.